excited that we could do this. I'm actually trying to think about the exact moment, and I don't know if there were, like, there's a few different moments that I can think of, like a few different conversations I can think of.
Yeah, I don't even think there was a moment. I remember us having the conversation when we were a lot younger about one day we might start a business together, not knowing what it would be it financial or whatever. I never thought we were going to run an accounting or financial advice business for that matter, but I remember talking a lot about it.
Well, we started a business in high school. It was a one day only thing, so don't get too excited.
Yeah, we did.
Like, we did all right though. I think we did all right. It was called Ella Mangia. So we did it with 2 Italian people, us two.
That's right.
And
we cooked the meat at my parents' house the night before.
We did. It was good. It was good.
And sold it at school.
Intense.
We did make good money though.
We did. We
actually,
for
one day.
So it was so popular that the last souvlaki went on auction because everyone in the school wanted
for $10. Remember, we got it for $9.80 or $10 or something. And in Dandenong, in a public high school, $10.
It was good.
That was a lot of money. That was
we did all
big
right.
currency.
So we started from a young age we started thinking about business. But that was a bit of a different business. I mean, hospitality versus what we do right now.
Probably could have made more money. That would have.
Probably.
I speak to people all the time, be it friends, be it family, at barbecues, be it at work, about trying to start a business and about how hard it is and why and all the reasons why not. I am really passionate about businesses changing people's lives. And I know that just sounds horrible, but business is about opportunity because it can go anywhere. Don't take the Hollywood connotation that comes with business, the concept of it being all about money and all about, money is one of the things that's lower on most people's list. It's up there, it's definitely in your top 5. Of course we're doing it for money, we need to pay bills, we need to do whatever, we need to buy cars, we need to buy houses. I completely understand that, but you're going to get that from your normal job. So if you're leaving for the money, you're not going to find what you're looking for. Whereas everything else, if you want to have a more flexible work life because you have a child or are planning to have a child and you want to be able to work with that, if you want to have a more flexible work life because you have a big social group and you want to play golf with your mates, or if you, there's nothing wrong with that. There seems to be some sort of negative connotation to people playing golf on a friggin' Tuesday. We were not put on this earth, be it evolving from monkeys or by some sort of divine intervention. None of this happens so that we can be inside concrete walls 9 hours a day. So to me, you should be building your life around what your passions are and what you want to be doing, of course within reason. So if that means that flexibility in your job is important, of which most jobs that came out of the Industrial Revolution are 9 to 5, which leaves very little flexibility, particularly in winter. You come to work in the darkness and leave work in the darkness. That's a dangerous time. There's times where depression rates are skyrocketing, people have all sorts of issues. To me, having flexibility in the thing that we're going to spend most of our awake time every week, that is what a business is to me, and that is what's so powerful, so that it allows, if one particular Wednesday we want to take the entire day off to do something, that's okay. And we don't have to pretend to take a sickie and hand in a note to our manager. We're adults, we're all working towards a more positive future for ourselves personally and for work. So I don't see why we have to adhere to such regimented hours and work styles and timesheets and things. So to me, that part of a business is the most powerful part, a part that allows you to change the way that you structure your life so that you are happier overall and you're more in control. And that's what I think Chris and I have been trying to teach people and trying to achieve.
We talk to clients all the time about retirement, and I define retirement as the day that you can wake up and decide to do whatever you want. Yeah. And you've hit on a lot of these points, whether it's go and play golf, whether it's seeing friends, whether it's traveling, whether it's being with your family, or whether it's doing work, and I put that in inverted commas because I feel like when I wake up, I do whatever I want. Most of the time I come here because that's what I want to do. Sometimes I won't, sometimes I'll see friends, sometimes I have to run errands. So, being an adult, that's what you have to do, right? So sometimes I will go away, like I am next week. To me, I actually feel like I'm retired, and we get so many clients who come to us saying, John, Chris, we want to retire as soon as we can. We don't want to work. We don't want to be bound by office hours or whatnot, right? And that's so common. I feel like as a business owner, you kind of get that a lot earlier. I'm not saying there's not hard times and you don't have to work long days and you got to do what you got to do to make things work, right? But you make that choice subconsciously. You're doing it because you want to do it. therefore, for me anyway, and I think, John, you told me this really from the beginning. You said to me that you wake up and you go to work because you want to go to work. You don't go there because it's your job and you have to, or you've got timesheets to fill in or whatnot, right? And I think that's so powerful. There's so much freedom and flexibility in that. So in a way, it's not work. You don't define it as work. It's just what I do.
Yeah, the word work is horrible. Yeah. I hate the word work. Obviously, there's rubbish days. This week alone, I've done a couple of 14-hour days. They're not pretty. You go home, you're tired as hell, you're trying to watch a World Cup game, you're falling asleep. It's no good, right? But at the same time, this place for us, and for me particularly, has unlocked a different path for my life. Myself, my wife, even my friends, we're going in a different direction from two aspects. Number one, your ability to make money in different times, to work extra hours if you want to or not, and shift money around that way. And secondly, to think differently, to not worry about what my boss thinks constantly. Yes, I have hundreds of bosses now because they're clients, and each client can have their nuance. But
it's not a box. You can think outside the square. Exactly. You don't have to conform to some structure or time frame.
You can meet them at a cafe. You can meet them at home. You can meet them in your tracksuit pants. You can meet them in a suit. It doesn't actually
doesn't matter. People come to us and or you, regardless of what you're doing, for what you do. Whether it's advice or whether it's a product or whether it's expertise, whether it's a service, it doesn't matter, right? So be yourself, and I think you'll attract more people. You'll attract people like you, because you will find that we're all human beings. We're all very, very similar, and you just want to be a normal, relatable person, i.e. yourself, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think that the reason we've got the big rules and the big corporates is because there's a lot of us, right? To control 300, 400, 1,000 people, of course you have to put rules. Yeah. And I'm not saying don't standardize. Standardization can lead to a lot of efficiencies in different types of businesses, right? So I understand that there's going to be policies, and I understand that there's going to be procedures, and I can appreciate that. But you can control them. If on Monday morning you find the procedure doesn't work, by 1 o'clock Monday it's fixed, and that's very powerful. And I think it allows you to react to staffing issues better. If we have a staff member who is depressed, or something is wrong, or something's happening in their lives or whatever, we can react to that so much faster, because I think work is a lot more than timesheets and money and things like that. I think if we invest in the people that we have into their lives, I think we get a lot more even out of us coming to work, not just them, us. I enjoy working with the people we work with. We don't work with anybody we don't like. No one works with us that we don't like. It doesn't happen. And when we even hire people, we even involve the staff in that hiring process, because you can turn it into kind of like a family that makes money instead of a work relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
work
really
together,
nice.
you help everyone. I think it's really cool.
But yeah, I remember when, because I left Grant Thornton, where I was 4 years ago now.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, four and a half, maybe even 5 years ago. And we were talking about starting our own thing, remember? But I started on my own, and it wasn't the same. I knew that it was definitely worth giving it a crack, definitely worth sort of getting out of the big firms. But then something was sort of missing from the perspective of how we were servicing our clients, and at the same time, just day to day. Leaving a big firm doesn't necessarily mean you leave a lot of the corporate crap that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So I remember we used to talk almost daily, effectively, and you were telling me about you wanting to leave and try different things. Remember?
Yeah, for me it was, my last firm was a great business, really good people, really good clients. I learned a lot. Like, I started there when I was 21, still pretty green, but I think my values, maybe where I was going, and that big business, they were really well aligned at the start, but I think they started to drift as the business got really, really big. And then obviously I had John, that is a big support, and we talk a lot, hearing what he was going through with Grant Thornton, but then also starting his own business and how that was working. And then I reckon, at least from my side, there was 1 or 2 clients that we started working together on, and we realized, okay, they're actually working pretty well. There's a lot of stuff you can do that I can't, and vice versa. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we can see how this goes. We can just sort of play it by ear. Let's meet more people together. Let's have joint meetings together. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah. When for me, and anybody who says that they've started a business without bumps or without anything is either really lucky or a liar. we had ideas of starting businesses, and I went out on my own initially and tried to start something in accounting. I actually had no idea what an accounting business meant or what running a business meant, even though in my industry we're meant to be seen as business advisors, right? So I thought, I'll start an accounting business, let's just see what happens. I had a couple of mates who said to me, don't worry John, come with us, rent free for a couple of months. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. And I thought, it doesn't matter, what's going to happen, right? There's nothing to lose. But then you give it a go and you start a business and you get business cards and you start a website and you tell all your friends. So there's an element of pride that's involved. You don't want to, no one wants to start something purposefully so they can fail, right? So it's one of those things that you want to give it a bit of a go. So your friends are excited about it. They start telling everybody else when you're introducing yourself to friends. Oh, hey, I'm John. What do you do? I run a business. Oh, that's really cool. And something that starts to settle into your mind as it becomes part of your identity, right? So then what you don't want is 6 months later to tell them, oh, nah, I'm actually pretty crap at accounting and everything failed. So but there are inevitably going to be bumps in the road, and it doesn't matter how many university degrees you get, nothing's going to prepare you for that crap. Within 3 or 4 months, I went through all my money. I had spent everything on things that were a lot more expensive than I thought. Computers, laptops, remember we were speaking about all that, desks, all that sort of stuff. The person on the website will say, oh, do you want links to the Google Maps address? Yeah, of course I do, right? So you add that in. Do you want 2 screens? Of course I do. Do you want, this sort of special wham bam keyboard that has a little, of course I do. You waste all your money. And there was one particular day I went to work and I was sitting in front of my computer, obviously with no work to do. And I was looking at my bank account and it had $183.64 or something there, very, very close to that number. And I can remember seeing it. And I remember thinking to myself, that's it. It didn't work. I'm done. And the things that ran through my mind, were how am I going to tell everyone? How am I going to explain myself? What am I going to do next? Obviously, I could go and do accounting again, but that defeats the entire purpose of going on the journey of leaving and trying your own thing. And so I remember I went to one of my friends and I said to him, look, I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore, etc., etc. And he goes to me, look, I've got one client. It's just a bit of bookkeeping. It's like really basic work. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'll do it. It's boring. It's time consuming, and it wasn't a lot of money, but I thought it's better than nothing. I did that job for him. I completed that job. And the only reason he gave it to me, because he had his own business too, he gave it to me because he couldn't be bothered doing it, not because it was a lot of money. So we did it, we finished it, and then I billed that work, and I remember it was due 2 weeks. We had 14-day terms. On the 14th day, I was like emailing the client, excuse me, but can you pay your freaking bill? Because I want to eat and stuff. So, and the client replied to me that day saying, oh, John, we were fixing it up today, kind of relax. And it was actually quite an embarrassing moment because I realized then how desperate I was for these people to give me some money.
Yeah.
But then from there, it was all a blur, right? Since then, I don't know what happened. That was enough money to tide me over for another 2-3 weeks. In those 2-3 weeks, I would have won another client that would have distracted me, and it would have gone from strength to strength. And I think the only thing, I would have thought that 7 out of 10 businesses would have stopped at that point. Not necessarily failed, but stopped, because if you don't have a good support network, if you don't have friends encouraging you, if you don't have people around you to sort of say, here's a small client, work on them, or don't worry about it, this will come around, or let's go to this networking event together, or whatever it might be, I can see why a lot of people give up. But I would say to you, in a small business, a true small business that's 1 or 2 or 3 people, your support network is one of the only things that's going to get you through kind of the hard stuff, particularly initially, in my experience anyway.
It was easy enough to get things set up. I think the challenge for me was getting the confidence, being able to say, no, this is okay. I can easily do what I was doing in my last business together with John. I think the other challenge for me was changing. I think working in a big corporate firm has some really good positives, and I learnt a lot. I worked with some really great people, but I felt like it did change me as well. Some things for the better, some things not so much. So it was really cool. That was one thing I did not expect, to come in working with Johnny and to be sitting down together and realizing, okay, I've definitely changed in some ways for the better, in some ways not so much, and to be able to bounce off each other, I think, and just bring out different parts of our personality that perhaps I couldn't really do in my last firm, because you're working with styles of clients or management or whatnot. I think that for me was one of my biggest challenges last year. I don't really remember a moment where I looked at my bank account like John had, and I thank him probably for that, because we were able to prepare.
You prepared a lot better for you.
Yeah, we knew what to expect in some way. We knew, okay, well, we need to get through a period of time to give ourselves a chance, and that's one thing I'd say, give yourself time, don't rush. If you need to give yourself 2 years where you're living off bread and water or whatnot, I think it's worth it. Like, don't stress about that. It's hard.
A chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important notes, right? Like, you need to actually put that on your desk. Today, I'm working with my best mate. We can have a lot of fun, and from a client's perspective, I don't think you're going to get a much better outcome, because at the end of the day, the two of us literally talk every single day. So, yeah. With Johnny, I think from his side, he'd been doing it for 2 or 3 years before I made the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to join, I'm going to jump ship and I'm going to join you. So you'd been through the ups and the downs already. So you already knew what you had experienced. You already positioned that with me, but you're also very encouraging as well. And I think we both could see, we could see where the potential was if we could make it work. So I was very lucky to have you as a support network, as well as some of the other professionals that I worked with, who I sort of trusted with a lot of this information. But because of this guy right here, I think that made it a lot easier to be able to say, well, you know what? We've already been doing this in our own weird sort of way whilst I'm still an employee. Why can't we just continue to do this separately? We can come up with our own name, we can put our own flavor on things, and I think that to me helped me a lot. Having said that, that doesn't mean that there weren't some times, especially in the first 12 months, where it was pretty tough. Like, we had a great plan, had a bunch of cash saved. I was lucky that I'm brought up in a time where it's actually not that hard to start at least a financial advice business, right? I think the most important bit of advice that I think has resonated with me the most is to back yourself and have confidence in what you want to do, have some conviction in your experience, your skill set, in whatever your profession is that you're looking at going out and doing on your own. I think that's really, really important. As cliche as it is, and I've heard people say this a lot, in particular with sporting teams, right? It's back yourself in, have confidence in yourself, right? And it did become really, really cliche for me, at least, right? I used to hear and you think, what does that mean? Of course I back myself, right? I'm talking about truly ignoring the noise and having that really good support network. That is really, really important, because they're the kind of people that will help you when you're in the downtime to say, you know what, no, I should still be backing myself. And expect to hear advice from a lot of people who maybe haven't done this themselves, maybe haven't started a business themselves, maybe people who have, right? Take it all in, but don't let it steer you away from whatever your passion is, whatever you're strong in your beliefs about. And for us, that might be the type of culture we want to create, the type of experience we want for our clients. We might be controversial in the way we dress around the office every day, or the type of interactions we have with clients, but for us, we don't care. We're setting up the foundations for something that we want, something that we really believe in passionately. And I think if you stick to that, it'll come out in the way you talk to people. And I think you will, you hear people say, write down your goals, right? Because if you write them down, they're more likely to happen. And it's a similar concept to that. Stay true to yourself and true to who you are. And I think what you want will eventually come out of everything and all the effort you put in.
I think if someone wants to start a business for whatever reason, number one, the primary motivator can't be money. If money's your reason, don't try it, right? I know it sounds cliche, and I'm sure you've read Facebook posts with pretty backgrounds that say the same thing, but it's true. If money's your primary driver, there are so many other things to business that don't make sense financially, and they're not going to agree with your value system. So if you think that it's going to be super easy and 9 to 5, and you're going to do exactly what your boss is doing and get paid more money, that's not how it works. If you want to do it because there's a passion element, it will work. If you want to do it because you want freedom, you can make it work. My advice to people wanting to start a business is have realistic expectation, Do not focus on the money, because if you have a good product and it's well put together, the money will come, pending that you have basic financial knowledge and advice. Surround yourself by people who support you and support you for you. Don't support you because they want a percentage of your business eventually. Don't support you because they think that when you make some money, they're gonna borrow your Lamborghini. I'm saying find people who support you for who you are, who will pick up the phone at 8, 9 o'clock at night and will say to you, don't worry, it's okay, you'll be fine, keep going. That's what I think works for any business. That doesn't matter if it's accounting, if you're running a florist, if you're running anything that you would want to work on. That's what I think is most important. And don't be afraid, this is going to sound like a sell, don't be afraid to pay for good advice. Go to a good lawyer, go to a good accountant, work out what you're doing, go to a good financial advisor. These people do that 24 hours a day. People like me do nothing else but this. You're not going to be able to Google it and figure it out, that part of it. Surround yourself by good, strong people that know what they're doing. Make sure that their value systems are the same as yours. If you're starting a small little shop somewhere, don't go to a massive top accounting firm, because they're not going to charge you what you want and they're not going to give you the service that you want. Work with people who are in similar worlds, who have similar beliefs, and it will not guarantee success, but I'm telling you, it will set the scene for success. And then the difference between you and where you want to be is completely effort and making sure that your business model works. Thank you very much. Boom. Alright, we do like a lean-in news reporter thing, or we need papers to shuffle. You know how we do like the...
That's true. Yeah.
Would you like us to get some papers to shuffle?
Yes, I think you do.
Do you want?
It's good
We'll get
to
one compendium and like a pad.
Yeah, okay.
Because not 2 compendiums. There's too much compendiums.
You can't have too many compendiums.
You want? At the moment, what are you laughing about? Don't laugh like that. You threw me off. You threw me off too much. Hang on, wait. Okay. Real talk. I'm not going to use real talk. I'm going to just put a break because I think that's lame.